Hello, everyone. Welcome to this episode of E-Coffee with Experts. I am your host, Matt Fraser. And on today's show, I have a very special guest with me, Adina Zaiontz. She is the founder and director of Napkin Marketing, a web design and SEO agency located in Toronto, Ontario, Canada. She has a bachelor's of business administration degree from the
Schulich.
Thank you very much.
Schulich.
Schulich. School of Business at York University. And is a Google Ads specialist and a MailChimp expert partner. Adina has over 25 years of sales and marketing experience, most notably working for Yahoo Canada as the trade marketing manager. When not hard at work helping clients rank on page one, she can be found chauffeuring her two kids, enjoying the great outdoors, and shuffling her playlists between marketing podcasts and the Hamilton soundtrack. Thank you so much for coming to the show. It's absolutely awesome to have you here.
Thank you, Matt. I'm so excited to be here.
Sorry for messing up your intro. Hey, how would your university professors describe you as a student?
Oh, wow. That's going way back. I think I was the talkative one probably in class, especially it depends which professors you ask. Because if you ask like my accounting professors, I was the one hiding in the back of the room and trying to like slit my wrists on the edge of the desk because I was so bored. In my accounting and like if you ask my economics professor, I was the one asleep at the back of the room. But if you ask my marketing professor, they would say I'm the one who was really into it, was asking a lot of questions, who was, sitting in the front row, challenging them sometimes with questions. So yeah, depends what professor you ask.
Well, that's awesome. So why did you, what do you love most about marketing and digital marketing?
I think like, what I've loved for marketing from the start and why I kind of pursued it in my career is it all goes back to psychology. It's all about, communicating to people in a relevant way and helping companies communicate who they are, what they sell, and what the message that they want to helping them resonate with their target customer, right? So, and it's not just about companies, but all of us as people, as professionals in the job, whether you're, a doctor, garbage man, a marketer or brand manager, you've got to sell your professionalism every day. You've got to like have, stakeholders that you want to convince. Even as a parent, I have my kids are my stakeholders, and I have to project a level of authority, love, friendliness, but yet with, yet get their respect. So I have, with everybody we interact with in our lives, we have communication goals. And as companies, our clients, our marketing clients have specific communication goals with their target client, with the public in general, with their employees. So I feel like marketing is really all about communication. It's all about how we communicate as humans, but on a corporate and business level. So that's what always like intrigued me is like the psychology behind marketing and how do you get that message across in a relevant way.
That's me as well. It's the ability to influence people with a message, and not just for nefarious reasons, but to actually, marketing can be done for good. Obviously, in some ways it has a bad rap, but like, the Mad Men sort of whether that is or not. But yeah, I totally agree with you that the psychology behind it. Is there anybody who specifically, maybe looking back besides your university professors, that strategically influenced you in regards to your philosophy about marketing? For instance, I'm a big proponent. Dan Kennedy has been a huge influence on my life personally. Read all his books, almost all of them, and was subscribed to his newsletter for a period of time. And direct response marketing is something I really, really gravitate towards, in the sense of using lead magnets and taking people through a funnel and all of those things. But that's me. Is there somebody that you have?
Definitely, a few people. Some of them are like, celebrity level, and some are just people who I've worked with in my career. So, I almost have to, if I look at my personal career influencers, I've had several bosses that shaped me in my professional approach to marketing. So I'm just gonna like pick one. I had before starting Napkin, and this is one of the things I always advise to people when they're, students or people who are still like starting their career. Don't start a business right away. Go work for someone, because you're going to learn so much, especially if you go and work for, whether it's a small business, whether it's a bigger business. You gain so much knowledge by working for a company, learning their processes, finding out best practices. So some of the people who I learned the most from were actually my bosses before I started my business. And as well, even when having napkin marketing, I've learned a lot even from clients that I've had. So just pick out I worked for Rogers Media early in my career, like early 2000s. This is back when Rogers was actually a publishing company. One of my first bosses, his name is Jim Barnes. He's still my Facebook friend. Big lumberjack guy, but he was actually a chief editor of the Rogers magazines, and our job was to turn these magazines, create websites for these magazines. That was the role of our department. And one of the things I remember Jim telling me, because I was responsible for doing marketing for all of these different publishers at Rogers. They all had different magazines. I mean, they were really our internal clients, but I didn't even see it that way because I was young and I was just like, okay, these are just projects I have. But, Jim said to me one day, I think it was one time where I was supposed to get a report to a publisher. I was supposed to do something and I kind of missed the deadline. And he's like, you know what? You need to build a reputation of being a reliable person. You need to build a reputation of reliability. And that's a marketing thing, but it's also just a general business thing.
Absolutely.
Being able to deliver on your promise, being able to keep your word. That's something as a brand, people want to be able to see that a company, they can trust, right?
Yeah.
And that's something as your personal brand, when you're in your career, you want to be able to show that you're delivering on whatever you promise, which is the core of our service commitment to our clients as well. So I think one of the lessons Jim imparted to me is being consistent and reliable, and as a cornerstone of your professionalism, because people will judge you based on that, right? And I had another manager. I worked for another publishing company after that, and it was called the Business Information Group. And I had a great manager. Her name was Jennifer Hunter, right? And I think she brought me on board. We were doing actually direct mail campaigns, if you can believe it, back then.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Different magazines, publications, and I always came up with great ideas for these campaigns. But what Jennifer imparted to me was the importance of staying on schedule. So we had a whole, she had a lot of systems and delivery schedules, and there were times where I would put out a campaign, but it didn't hit the mail on the intended mail date. And that affected revenue going forward for months. So just the importance of sending out a campaign, not only making it creative, because, a lot of times marketers are like, I want to do the most creative, leading edge stuff. But you know what? You can come up with the most creative, amazing campaign, but if it's like 4 weeks behind to market, and it's out to market so late that it's delayed in delivering revenue for that company. Doesn't matter how freaking creative it was late, and it's not the job, which is make the client money to bring in leads, stuff like that. So, I think from Jennifer, I learned the importance of staying on schedule and fulfilling, being organized that way. That's as important as the creativity, right?
Yeah.
So,
absolutely. That's amazing.
So I think especially for myself, when I was choosing my majors, what do I want to do in university? like I was a bit of an artsy kid in high school. I went to an arts program for my high school. I was a drama major. Some would say I'm a drama queen.
You're talking to a guy. You're talking to a guy who took a one-act play to the provincial finals.
Oh, awesome. Yeah. So
it was called Here We Are by Dorothy Parker. She was a poet, and it was the only one-act play she ever wrote. So I know exactly what you're talking about. I was trying to say.
Yeah. So I mean,
anyway, continue on.
Yeah, like when you're an artsy kid, that gets encouraged, and like you think that being creative is everything, right? That's the pinnacle. But then when you get out into the business world and you see like what actually determines success, I've worked with a lot of people who weren't as creative as me, but were sometimes more successful than me because they were able to churn out the stuff on, faster, or they were able to just get things done on schedule. I'm making myself sound like an idiot.
No.
But like that's one of the things I learned that helps me now, because now I am a lot more disciplined in terms of delivery schedules, in terms of like the operations I put together in my business, in terms of like knowing the importance of project management, and that's what I've implemented in napkin marketing. When we manage a client project and getting it out on schedule, being organized, having the communication within the team, making sure that everyone's briefed and knows their deadlines, all of that operational stuff is guess what? It's because of mistakes I learned the hard way when I was younger and working for someone. So the bottom line is go work for someone so that you can make the mistakes on their dime, their time and their dime. No, I shouldn't say that, but like, but you get that opportunity like that. Think of working for someone as an extension of your entrepreneurial education.
Absolutely. Right? Alex, I don't know if you're aware of this, but Alex Hormozy, I don't know if you know who he is, but he was worth $100 million by the time he was 30. And he wrote the book $100 million offers. And what you're saying is exactly what he says. He's like, go and work for someone else and learn on their dime. If you need to get good at sales, go work for somebody doing sales. If you need to get good at whatever, because he talks about how there's all these different skill sets that you need to run a business. It's not just marketing. It's not just operations. It's not just sales. There's sales, marketing, operations, but there's so many different facets of skills that you need to learn in order to be successful. And he went and hired someone to teach him Facebook ads who said that they don't do that. But like, I don't work per hour. I don't train people. I just do it. He's like, come on, it's America, man. Everybody's got a price. So guy threw out a number and he's like, yeah, it was expensive. I think it was like $750 an hour or something. And he didn't care. He paid it because he wanted to learn how to do it. But the point I'm trying to make is that what you're saying is exactly what I've heard other people on the show say, what Alex Hormozy has said. And it's something that I personally wish I had done because I incorporated my business in 2011, and I wish I'd gone and instead worked for a marketing agency. But anyway, my route was a little different. That being said, that's a great caveat. So would you say that like your experience at Yahoo as well has helped you in your development as a digital marketer and overall entrepreneur?
Yeah, absolutely. I was even gonna now that I'm in the journey of Adina's bosses, I was gonna mention another amazing manager I had who brought me on board at Yahoo, whose name is Hunter Madsen. And Hunter was just the consummate professional, always kind of well-spoken. He was also a professor of marketing. So basically everybody at Yahoo kind of treated Hunter as the resident genius, and like every word he said was like a drop of gold out of his mouth. But he was, one of the things that he taught me when I was at Yahoo is how to build consensus within an organization, because it was a big organization. People don't remember Yahoo was a thing. It was a competitor to Google and Microsoft at the time. So it was a big organization. We had like a sales team of like 20 or 30 people. We had a huge, we were just the Canadian division. There was a whole US head office of the entire US head office that had its own marketing department, that had its own business development and sales teams. There were sales strategists, there were the whole technical team, the developers and everything.
Mm-hmm.
So a lot of times when you wanted to get a new idea sold through the organization, or even a small idea, you had to get other people on board. And this is what happens when you're in a big company. This is one of the things I do love working for myself, is I don't have to, like, if I come up with an idea, we could do the idea that day, right? I mean, I do need to get my clients on board. That's not true completely. I do need to get my clients on board. I have to pitch the idea to my clients. I have to pitch the idea sometimes to my staff, so they think it's a good idea. So I shouldn't say that. It's not like a what do you call it?
Foregone conclusion.
Autocracy. But especially in a big company, if you want to get anything done, you have to be able to have some influence, build your influence, right? So one of the things Hunter taught me is, like, I came on board, he tasked me with starting the trade marketing department at Yahoo, which was like all the business to business marketing. So, you know, I was helping market Yahoo to the current and potential advertisers, and the, you know, putting together, like, I was putting together business conferences and events and like seminars where I'd have our advertisers or our key, you know, knowledge specialists at Yahoo do. For example, I did a conference on how to market to men. I did another conference on how to market to women. So, and the center of that conference was obviously promoting Yahoo and promoting our lifestyle property, for example, as a vehicle for advertisers like Dove or Procter & Gamble who want to market to women. Or, you know, what, you know, I'm being very stereotypical here, but we did another conference about marketing to men. Maybe we had, or mobile marketing, and we had, you know, obviously the end goal was to sell mobile advertising on Yahoo, but we'd have a whole like thought leadership event where we'd have people who were specialists in the mobile marketing side at Yahoo kind of present as speakers, right? So the whole idea of doing these events and conferences, we had to pitch this within the organization, because I wouldn't be able to do that just on my own. I had to get the budget approval to do this. I had to get speakers approved. I had to get the whole project approved. So, you know, I would tell Hunter about these ideas and he'd be like, okay, put this together in writing, put it together in a presentation. Now go and pitch the sales team and get them to think that this is a good idea. I think it's a good idea, but I want you to pitch the sales team so that they're actually behind it, right? So, and that was kind of intimidating to me, right? Because I had this team. They were all like, you know, good looking, successful, you know, smart talking, smooth talking sales reps. No, and I wasn't as confident as they were, right? So, you know, but basically I followed Hunter's advice and put together a presentation of like, here's how this thought leadership event will go. You know, I branded it, like even before I branded it to the end audience, I was like, okay, this is called, you know, talking, you know, I don't remember what I called the marketing to men conferences, but we had like, I think we had one called Buzz, which was the mobile marketing conference. We had one called, I think Hunter came up with like big screen, little screen, which was about mobile marketing and kind of desktop regular marketing. And, you know, coming up with a catchy name, even to like market the project internally
to get support.
People don't always think, because I could have just said, oh, we're just doing a thought leadership conference, but kind of coming up with the brand and coming up with like all the, like the proposed speakers, like thinking through the whole event, packaging it up and pitching it internally before we ever pitch it externally, because then you get an internal fan base of support. And they're like, yeah, this is a great idea. And like a lot of times we'll have a meeting with the salesperson, I'd present this to the sales team. And there were like different levels of sell through. So maybe first we'd present it to the sales director and be like, hey, what we're thinking of doing, still all pitched together in a presentation format. And, you know, hey, do you think this is a great idea? Yes, I think it's a good idea, but I think you should do this, this, and this, or I think you should have this speaker, right?
Okay,
perfect. So there you go. The whole idea. Then the next level is, okay, the boss of the sales team has bought into it. Now present it to the whole sales team. And then they know that their boss has bought into it.
And they better buy in.
And then they can also, but you got to present it as a collaboration, right? It's all about like, you're not doing something and pushing this project down people's throats. You're like, okay, this is what we're thinking of doing. And by the time you present what you're thinking of doing, it's like 95% baked, right? But you could be like, what do you guys think? Do you have any feedback on this? Do you have any ideas? And they might have some small ideas where they might be like, yeah, this is amazing. You know, most of the time, by the time you present it like that, people are like, yeah, this is great. Let's do it. But some people might be like, oh, I have an idea for a speaker. I have an idea for this and that. And then that's their opportunity, like, to be heard. And you gotta, like, when you get that feedback at those meetings, you gotta listen and be like, okay, that's great. Let me incorporate that in. Try to incorporate it in somehow, right? Because the whole idea of those meetings is not just to present, but to listen. Because you're in a big corporation, big organization, you've got to show that you're a team player, right? And that that everybody is having, people are having some input into your work. You're not just steamrolling your ideas through.
I can see how.
So it's a little bit of like a whole political thing, right? It's like how a bill becomes law, you know? Did you ever see that Family Ties episode where like, you know, when a politician is, you know, somebody in parliament, you can imagine like they're trying to pass a bill or they're trying to pass a law. They don't just go to parliament and be like, I want to pass this law, vote for me. No, they probably have like 500 conversations with all the different members of parliament who might oppose it or who might support it and build the rapport all along. It's a political process, right?
Absolutely.
I think that's one of the lessons I definitely learned from Hunter is how to manage the internal politics of an organization when you're trying to pitch your ideas. So
and I can see how that could transpose to working with clients. Like, so that skill set.
Absolutely. So I mean, it's different in a small business. But you know, definitely, you know, one of the things I've learned and I have to keep kind of implementing is if I have an idea for a client and I just in a meeting I just randomly talk about it. I'm like, hey, I think you should be doing webinars, right? Then they're going to be like, oh, but then they'll come up with like 17 reasons why webinars are bad, right? But and usually I'll be like, okay, you know what? We don't need to discuss this right now. Let me take this back. Let me come back to you with a more fleshed out proposal and ideas, right? And then I come back to them with like a few PowerPoint slides of like, here's the type of webinar that you might want to think about. Here's how it will look like. Here's how you know, maybe we'll mock up the landing page. Here's how the landing page might look like. Here's how it would, here's how people will sign up for it. Here's the projected audience and leads I can see you getting out of this, right? That's a completely different story than just talking out of your ass and going, hey, you should do this, right? So
absolutely.
So like how you present your case, how you present your ideas is everything.
Hey, you were talking about brand and making sure that what we do on a personal and professional level lines up with what we say lines up with what we do. But has there been an instance with a client where you've seen that what they do doesn't line up with what they're saying on their website? And the process you've taken them through in that regard? I mean, I'm thinking of one specific client you had. They worked with data or something like that.
Oh, well, I guess this is actually I do have a client who started off that way, but they sort of became a success story with, you know, with our help. I'm proud to say. So I have one client, he's still a client, and his name is Jen May, and he works with his son now, Janice May, and they have an amazing business called Manifold Data Mining. And it was started by Jen, and Jen is a mathematics professor. And I'm not even like, I'm not even exaggerating to say that Jen is a mathematical genius and an analytics and statistics genius. So I actually came across Jen initially, and I hope, Jen, I hope if you're listening to this, it's okay to share this story. But I actually met Jen initially because I was purchasing services from him. So he had a data analytics business, and I was trying to do a market research related project for a client. I was trying to get market research on, on a certain like clientele target market for my other client. And I came to Shen and I said, and I was able to get the market research from him. And one of the things I said to him, I was like, Jen, you have this brilliant bank of research. You've got these great statistical tools. As a marketing nerd, I'm appreciating like everything you've got on offer here, and everything all the knowledge and insights I was able to gain from your, market research bank, all the insights and stuff and the statistics you come up with on customers. But your website looks like total crap. So it's like, you're so brilliant, you're so, professional, and the quality of your product that you deliver is on a world-class level. But when that's such dichotomy from your website, which reflect the professionalism of the actual product delivered. And what if it could help you, show a more professional image that's actually in line with the quality that you deliver, the quality of your brain, to be honest, and the level of experience and knowledge, because he's like a genius and world class at what he does as a statistics and analytics expert. He also helps Fortune 500 companies with their customer insights and market research. So I'm like, you're sort of you're helping Fortune 500 companies, and you're like at a PhD level, but your website looks like it was done by, it looks like it was done by a high schooler or something, or it doesn't reflect the professionalism of where you're really at, right? So I would love an opportunity to like revamp your website so that we could, it could reveal like the level you guys are really at. Maybe I don't mind if I share my screen, I can show you.
Sure. And maybe just describe it for those who are only listening.
Yeah. So basically, what we did, and this was a couple of years ago already, but it's one of our case studies, is we created a new website for manifold data mining, and they just even rethinking their whole brand. And talk, and what we discovered about their brand. Am I sharing my screen okay?
Yeah, you are. Yeah, I can see it. Yeah.
So what we kind of, when we delved into their brand, and this was not just me, it was with my account manager, my design team, with a copywriter, is that they are really about customer insights. And we wanted to give them a fresh new look. They had sort of like a hackneyed look with a lot of old-fashioned icons. So we actually did this illustration-based look for them, and we showed, statistics and people using statistics, but we also have pictures of
That's so smart
customers, lifestyle. We have this whole data page, and just showing that they show shopping trends, lifestyle trends, demographics info. We actually created all of these icons custom on from them by our talented designer Chanel Miller worked on those. So kind of, I think that's honestly, like, I'm proud of this project, but the reason I'm proud of it is because I think it speaks to like the core of what we do as marketers, is bringing ideas to life and translating what companies do into an understandable language. And that language is a visual language, as well as like auditory and verbal and the written language, right? So
absolutely.
I think that, it's our job to tell their story, right?
Yeah.
So I think
absolutely.
that was and that's the challenge. You might be telling a story that on the surface level, it's a data company. Most of people are going to be like, that's pretty boring, right?
Yeah.
But that's your challenge as a marketer, is you got to take sometimes like what on the surface seems like a boring brand or a boring service. You got to find the meat and the spark and the brilliance and the value that that company delivers, whether it's like, a fun like food lifestyle brand, or it could be like, an elevator consulting company, which we had a client who's an elevator consulting company. Like you have to be able, like we've had so many different businesses, but like every client you deal with, you have to find that thing, that spark that's going to make them interesting, that's going to make them relevant, right?
Absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah, no, that's awesome. What was the results of that rebrand and that redesign, the outcome on their business?
Yeah, so I mean, I have to find on my numbers of my fingertips, but I know like one of the biggest things is, they weren't getting many leads out of their old website. And I think now they're getting at least like, probably 10 times the number of leads that they get, and the quality of the leads as well, because we sort of peppered that website with lead magnets, which are basically people can download samples of the research, they can download samples of the data, they can download
that's so smart.
Data sheets. Every time someone wants to download one of those were kind of given away for free, in quotations. On the old site, they were giving away a lot of that info. Now we sort of made a lot of that information gated, so they got to fill out a form to get some of that value. And like, so they're having a lot more, and every time someone fills out a form, that's a lead, right? So they're having a lot more, visibility into who's using their website. They're getting a lot more leads out of their website, because there's like, one of the things I try to teach my clients to try to like, do within our projects is you got to booby trap the website, for lack of a better word, like booby trap it with conversion points. So there should just be like your contact us form on your site. That shouldn't be your only conversion point. You should be having like lead magnets, white papers, like things people can download, gated, like videos, things that are gated that people have to fill in a form to interact with the site, get them as a lead. So that's what we kind of booby trap this website in a positive way, so that client, when visitors are on here, there's lots of little areas where they can download stuff and convert for the client.
And it's so important to do that, because then you can, number one, capture visitor data and put them into your funnel. And you can, you can start to warm them up. So many people don't know this. At least business owners, you can literally enroll them in
the websites have to be sales funnels. And they have
they have to be marketing and sales funnels. And you can add, like so I know all this. Like you can add tags to the lead in regards to, now that you got their email, where they're from, they see the pages they visited, the lead, trackable. Move them in and out of campaigns, offer them another funnel, offer them another case study, use automation to move them towards, getting a consultation with your sales team. It's just, we're gone are the days of HTML tables and CSS. Websites are literally automated marketing machines,
Absolutely.
So and that's absolutely amazing that you were able to, Yeah,
and we try to like incorporate that into like every website we build. And sometimes, it's it takes a little convincing to help the clients understand the value of having something like an ebook, even like a simple ebook. Ebooks have been around like 10 years at least, right? But like I have a number of lawyer clients, and with each lawyer client, we've tried to launch an ebook on their website related to their specialty, right? So I have an amazing client named Ken Pope, and he's the leading expert in estate planning. It's super niche. It's estate planning for families with disabled children. So if you think about like, if you have God forbid you have I shouldn't say that, but like you have a child with like autism, or you have an adult child who's disabled, you need to think about their future, and how are you going to plan? Like as a parent, you have to like, a kid who's not disabled, they can become independent one day. But if you have a child who's going to have a lifelong chronic disability, you have to think about their future as an adult. How are they going to be taken care of? So I'm saying all this because Ken helps people deal with that. He puts together estate plans and tools.
Yeah.
And
Wow.
I'm gonna share my screen, or maybe I'll just
Sure, go
refer to
ahead.
it
No,
on
go ahead.
audio. But one of the things I'm proud that I gotta find his website. Ken Pope. So one of the things I'm proud to have helped Ken with is we helped him launch a number of ebooks. So the special trust that you set up for disabled children is called the Henson Trust, right? So I don't know if I'm sharing my screen right now.
Yeah, I can see it. Yeah, Henson Trust.
An ebook about Henson Trust. We created an ebook about the other side of his service offering, which is adult guardianship. He helps people like manage adult guardianship issues.
Yeah.
So with these, Ken is able to share his expertise, and because people are like coming to his site, they're looking for information on how to do this for their child. So they might not be ready. That you talk about people who are top of the funnel, middle of the funnel, right? So you have those top of the funnel people who might not be ready to sign up for a lawyer consultation and pay for a lawyer consultation, but they might be a lead for him in the future. So
absolutely.
They have the opportunity to download an ebook, and then Ken can have them in his funnel and his newsletter list as a lead, right?
Absolutely.
And we've also helped him set up this other
brilliant
evaluation form. So this is basically, and this is one thing I encourage my lawyer clients as well, is like humanize your brand. So he has a video there where he explains like his approach to his practice, and people can basically fill in the form to talk about what's their family situation with their child, what they're looking to, where they are in their estate planning journey. And that's for people who are a bit like more bottom of the funnel for Ken, right? Where they're actually filling in a consultation form. So, and the other thing in the ebooks we've set up for him, we have a checkbox so you sign up for the ebook with your typical, like your name, email, the telephone number is optional. One of the checkboxes on the form is, yes, I'd like information on Ken's estate planning services. Please contact me for an appointment, right? And you'd be like amazed at how many people just from signing up for the ebook also sign the permission, like check off the permission that they are interested in an appointment. So that's a clear lead to be contacted, right? So that's like a perfect example of like something where we baked in a sales funnel into a website, right?
Oh,
And
it's
that's
bloody
something
brilliant.
I encourage all my clients to have something like that, whether it's an ebook, whether it's a gated video, gated webinar. There should always be something you're offering for free that is a lead generator, or multiple somethings.
Why do you think so few businesses do it? Because I'm gonna be frank, I've learned this from Dan Kennedy. He's like, you need to have a lead magnet. You need to have multiple lead magnets. And his former business partner, Bill Glazer, his book, Outrageous Marketing Campaigns That Actually Work. Is volume 1 and volume 2. Yeah. Oh, they're bloody brilliant.
I gotta get your book list, because you have like so many good books that you've just like in 15 minutes talking to you, you've named like
I read lots. He talked about doing those things, and Dan, the first thing I learned from him was that you need to have a lead magnet. And then I would hear like some of his clients, like even some of his clients were where I live in Edmonton. He had this plastic surgeon, cosmetic surgeon, had this brilliant lead magnet, and he was using a radio ad where he was like, get your free download, 7 mistakes to avoid before hiring a cosmetic surgeon by going to 7 mistakes free. It was a vanity URL that probably had a UTM parameter attached to it that was forwarded to the darn landing page for that particular radio ad. There's attribution right there. And but I just see so many businesses and websites that I visit that I'm like, what the hell? Am I crazy? So it's that I've had these thoughts for like the last 20 years, these philosophies.
I think
here I'm talking to someone who implements them all the time.
most business owners are not trained in business, they're not trained in marketing, so they just naturally don't always think in that direction. They just think, okay, a website is communicating my services, or sometimes they'll have their bio.
Yeah.
They're just not thinking of their website. It's like, oh, how do I make it into a sales funnel? Or they
Yeah.
just, and that's like our job as marketers, to help them understand how do you like not a lot of people know even how to package their knowledge into a lead magnet, right? So again, I
Hmm.
think that's one of our jobs as marketers, to help them.
Hmm.
They don't know what they don't know, right?
Yeah.
So um I mean, like, that plastic surgeon you talked about, he's busy
Yeah.
being a plastic surgeon. He's busy with his medical expertise and
Yeah.
showing people how to like make their faces look like Kim Kardashian or whatever, right? He's not thinking about
Yeah.
like lead magnets. That's like, everyone's kind of wrapped up in their area of expertise.
Yeah.
And, even myself, like I'm wrapped up in like, I might be really wrapped up in marketing. I might not know as much about finance, right? Whatever, right? So
Hmm.
so I think, the answer to that is like, we're all overwhelmed by
Yeah.
the world out there. There's so much information out there, and they're probably just so absorbed in the delivery of the service they already deliver in their business that they just
Yeah.
don't think in that direction.
Yeah.
So, but that's our
Yeah.
job as marketers, to educate them that
Absolutely.
that's an opportunity.
Absolutely. Hey, I would love to have you on for a second episode. I know we're coming to the end of our
Oh,
time
I'd love
here, but
that.
we could absolutely talk some more. I do want to respect your time. What would you say is one big takeaway you'd like listeners to get from this episode?
It depends like in what area. Um, I think, it's all about balance, right?
Yeah.
So, you know, um, if you're looking to um, get into a marketing career, or if you're an agency owner,
Hmm.
I think being always able to balance the rational and the creative. So by
Yeah.
that, some of the things I
Wow.
brought up during this meeting was like being able to deliver great creative, great campaigns, great messaging, but also balancing that with being on schedule, having your
Yeah.
operations tight, being on budget, making sure that your projects are profitable, right? So
Absolutely.
as creative people, I think we're always about like, let's make the most creative or the most, beautiful website. But I think, as marketers, we have to be practical and be like, this website's really a tool to deliver leads. So how can we create a beautiful professional image, but still make it a sales funnel, right? And like, so I don't know if
Yeah.
that's
No,
amazing
absolutely.
takeaway
Absolutely.
or thought provoking,
No,
but
that was great. Yeah. No, thank you for
always
sharing that.
about
That was
balance.
awesome. Yeah. Hey, how can our listeners connect with you online if they choose to do so?
Yeah, I'm happy to talk with you. They can go on napkinmarketing.com, fill in
Mm,
my contact form. You can also email me at Adina at napkinmarketing.com, and
mm,
I'm happy to connect with you. I'm on LinkedIn.
cool.
My last name's really hard to spell, but
We'll make
Zaiontz.
sure. Yeah. We'll make sure to put a link in the show notes
Yeah,
for
no,
sure.
I'm pleasure. Really excited to connect with anyone who's watched the episode, and I'm really
Yeah.
thankful to you, Matt. For the
Oh, hey,
opportunity. It's
my
been great.
pleasure.
I've learned a lot from you today as well.
Well, thank you. My pleasure.
Yeah,
It's been absolutely awesome having you here, and I hope to have you back again.
absolutely. Have an
All
awesome
right.
day.
You too.